Hello. Nyoni, Flan, Chozo. Hi. Hello! Thank you. Oh my gosh, my voice sounds, you can tell, my voice is like dead. Not because I'm sick or anything. I've just been doing a lot of talking. But first, you hear this? I brought up a fancy water bottle today. Let's crack it open. You didn't get the... that was very anticlimactic. I was hoping for the, like, the sparkling water. You're not telling me I went to AX? I know, I didn't tell anybody I went to AX. It was kind of, on purpose. I was working, so I just knew that I was gonna be very dead. I think in the future, though, if I was going to go and like do like a meetup with people, I'd want to plan it a little bit better so I have the time, but I was just very, very busy. As you can hear from my voice. My voice is gone, practically. I'm kind of worried about how work will be tomorrow, but it should be okay. Anyways, for anyone new who is lurking and doesn't know who I am Calico Pascal, the otter VTuber, streaming to you live from the Float Harbor Aquarium. Yes, I worked at AX this year. I've attended Anime Expo for many years in the past, as both an artist at Artist Alley and also as an exhibitor. And I don't want to get into it beyond that. Just go. I don't want to dox myself. Yeah, it's a little too personal at the moment. Sorry. Yeah, I was undercover. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I figured, because I did make a post during my trip, because I ran into another VTuber who I'm not, like, close with, and, like, we're not mutuals or anything. We just, I mean, I follow them. They don't know about my existence, pretty much. But let me see if I can pull it up. I made a tweet, basically. I took a photo of the freebie that they gave me for recognizing them. And they were like... so basically what happened was they had walked by the booth that I was working at, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know who that is, but I was drawing a blank because working at Anime Expo, oh my gosh, I don't even want to get into, like... It's a lot of fun. Like, I feel very happy. I feel very emotionally fulfilled, but oh my, like, my brain is fried. You can hear my voice is fried. My body is tired. I came back from Anime Expo to the aquarium, and I, quite frankly, I ate food and then I passed out for like 2 hours. I am tired. Did you go to the meetups? I did not. I didn't go to any meetups. That's exactly why I was, again, I was very, very busy. Okay, I can at least confirm I did not work for Blue Archive. I did not work for them, no. Too many people. Yeah. Yeah, Anime Expo, I generally, yeah, I end up doing like a lot of talking. And I was so busy and there were just so many people that I basically said for my friends, like, hey, if you want to come find me and say hi, I'm literally gonna be at this booth. I will not move from this booth. If you want to see me, you have to come to me because I can't leave. And so, that it was basically like, I always make wherever I'm working kind of like my meetup point for people. Just because it's easier than trying to navigate and find like a space that the con will allow you to kind of freely be in. But since you went, Chozo, I mean, sorry, Flan. Oh my god, you can, I told you, my brain is tired. Flan, since you went, you can tell me, how did you enjoy Anime Expo? I'm going to guess you went as an attendee. Did you go see any panels or anything? There were a couple of panels that I would have liked to see, but trying to go to a panel at Anime Expo is like, I don't know, you're basically signing yourself up for war. It's so hard to get to a panel now. I wish I could have gone to see the, there was a Sonic panel. A panel specifically, like, held by Sega that talked about, like, short form animations for the series. There was also a Danganronpa panel, which, along with the Danganronpa panel, I missed getting to see the creator of Danganronpa, Kodaka. He was walking around Anime Expo. He never came by where I was working, so unfortunately did not ever cross paths with him. You went for 2 days, okay. You just went for the free loot. Friends got some numbers and new friends to hang with. I won a big raffle, very nice. Won Uma Musume merch, and you went to the Uma concert like 2 times. That's great! Yeah, I wish I could have also gone to see some of the... I know the side games, they were holding like showings for some like Uma Musume episodes, or was it like the movie? Or I guess it was just the concerts, right? That's awesome that you won. Congrats. Also, going for 2 days, is probably a good idea. I feel like 2 days is the perfect amount for getting like everything that you want and getting to see everything. If you go all 4 days, or if you are subjected to being there all 4 days, it gets like by the 3rd day, your soul is crushed and you are tired. 4th day is like you are merely a husk. Got really drunk at the after parties too. Your friend hosted outside fighting game thing. We had Miku selling. Oh no. I did see the Taki Shuttle grilled cheeses. I am quite jealous. And the live band, that seems cool. So you went to the midnight mahjong, I assume. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't want to get too into like the nitty gritty, but it seems like Midnight Mahjong just kind of got taken over from like the original people who originally were like starting Midnight Mahjong, and now it's just like a lot of other things. I mean, of course, something that grows to that extent is going to attract a lot of attention. Did not pay. Used your Unk Pass. You don't care. Like it. It's cool. Yeah, I will say that working as an exhibitor, it definitely kind of makes me observe or think about how the other booths are running. Because I learned that when you get a booth at Anime Expo, you have to account for like line control. Like, for example, the AX staff, or like Anime Expo in general, the company, they'll ask you like, oh, if you're gonna have a booth, how are you going to handle like overcrowding, because we can't have that happening. If there's overcrowding at your booth, you need to have a solution to make things a little bit easier and safer for everybody. When you were running, did it smell like ass? Unfortunately, yeah, stinky people come and go quite often. It was like, whether I was walking through the halls or like when I was stuck at the booth and people would come to our booth and then leave, there were some smelly people. I did have a few opportunities to take breaks to walk around, and every single time I left the booth I was like, oh my god, just walking anywhere in the convention center is just very difficult. There's something kind of funny. I don't know, apparently this has been a thing for a while, but Anime Expo sets up a lounge for exhibitors and artists, and they place it in a place like outside of the halls themselves. So it's just like a restricted area. It's a space where the people working can have like a place to sit and kind of eat and just like decompress away from like a lot of the noise. And I guess before, one of my coworkers had told me that the exhibitor lounge used to be in a different place, and it was very different than what it was this year. So this year it seems like it was a step up, but I still think there could be some improvements, specifically regarding the fact that there is only one lounge, and it's, at least for where I was located, it was close to the hall that I was at, so it was easy to walk to, but very, very difficult to find. And so with there only being one, if you were from a different hall that wasn't near that area, you would have had to walk like all the way across the convention center to get to this exhibitor lounge. And I feel like that is like, I mean, just to navigate the crowds, it's probably gonna take you like 15 to 20 minutes. So let's just say you were like scheduled for a 30-minute break, you're already spending half your time to get to the lounge, assuming that you already knew where it was, because we were told, hey, there's an exhibitor lounge where you can get food and rest and whatnot. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go look for this lounge. And I spent, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or more looking for this lounge, and I could not find it because they gave you a map, or they gave the exhibitors a map, and they were like, this is where the lounge should be. And when I walked out to that area, I didn't see anything. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm just stupid. So I walked around the whole convention center looking for anything that looked remotely like, you know, a room or a sign that said like exhibitor and artist lounge, and I could not find it. I asked a staff member who pointed me and told me like, oh, it should be outside. And I was like, okay, but I was already outside, I didn't see it. I asked the security guard's like, I've had several people ask me about where this is and I don't know where it is. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll keep looking. Eventually I finally found it. I was the first person to find it from our booth, because other people in our booth were also interested about this lounge, and so we were all kind of just like, somebody's gonna find it eventually. So I managed to find it, and I was taking pictures and texting everybody in our chat like, oh my god, this is how you get to it, this is what it looks like from the front. And when well, first of all, let me paint this picture for you, okay? So I already know I was running around in circles looking for this lounge. I finally kind of give up. I'm like trying to sit in this area in the corner of the hall that a bunch of other people are sitting at, and of course some AX staff comes over and is like, you guys are not allowed to sit here, it's a fire hazard, and we all have to like groan and get up and start walking around. So I walk back outside towards the area that supposedly the lounge is supposed to be at, and I'm just like standing outside, and there were 2 security guards kind of standing there in that area. So as a last attempt, I asked them again, and I was like, I'm looking for this thing, and I'm pulling it up on my phone. I'm showing them the map. I'm looking for this area, and I can't find it. And the security guard like points over, like right in front of him, like straight in front of him, and he's like, oh, it's over there. I look. This area is completely blocked off by a fence, and the fence has this black cloth over it, so it looks like, because there was a lot of construction going on at the convention center too, so I had seen that area, but thinking it was just a closed off area for construction, and there is a single sign that's not even like very big next to this fence that says Exhibitor and Artist Lounge, and I was like, oh my god, the lounge, and it doesn't even look like there's a way to enter in. It looks like it's closed off. And so then I walk over, I open the gate to get in. There is a single person in this lounge area. So what I didn't realize is, I thought it was just the outside area because there were a couple of tables and chairs, and then like a hot and a cold bar with some like convention staff there to provide food, and they looked bored as hell because there was again the single person outside. And then I finally realized that there was a white tent behind them, which was like an indoor area. So there was an indoor area that you could go into with more tables and chairs. And when I finally realized that, and I walked in, again, like a single AX staff member and one single exhibitor in there in a huge white tent with all these tables, and they had a sign on the wall, like a blank wall, where it had the Anime Expo logo, for people to sign it, and there were just like so few signatures. It looked really sad, and I was like, oh no. Well, at least I found it so I can use the space when I need to. So I think that immediately was like kind of red flag number 1 is like your exhibitors and your artists, I don't know if they know where to find this lounge. So then day 2, or whichever day it was, like the second day that I came back to this lounge, they put 2 signs in front of that like gate area that was like very hard to find. So it was a little more obvious, and as I was kind of hanging out in there, I saw more people trickling in. Not as much, just a very small amount, but it was definitely more than the first day that I had gotten in there. Yeah, these poor AX staff members were just kind of like, I mean, they were doing their job and they're chilling. They're just like sitting at a table with like all these paint markers, waiting for like exhibitors and artists to come in, and they were like, hey, if you want, you can like draw something on the wall. But I think when they initially sent out the email, or how they kind of advertised it, it was like, oh, you have a space for like artists and exhibitors to come and chill out, like when you're not working your booth. Like come connect with like other people in the industry. But I think, yeah, you know, aside from all those other problems I listed, it's just like, if you are an exhibitor or an artist who doesn't have other people working with you, you cannot leave your booth. So that kind of rules out being able to stop and take a break at all. And then number 2, again, there's only one lounge, and it was luckily next to the hall that I was working at, so it was very easy to walk to it. But for anybody else who was working at another location, they would have had to walk all the way across the convention center, which would be very far. So when I was discussing it with my coworkers, we thought like, oh, maybe next year they could open like two lounges, you know, one on one side and one on the other side of the convention center, so that way it's easier to find and easier for people to walk to. That is my critique of Anime Expo. But you know, appreciate and think it is a good step in the right direction that they are trying to provide something like this, because I think in the past they only seem to have like lounge or like kind of like a separate area for industry people only, because I think in previous years when I worked exhibitor, I don't ever remember hearing about an exhibitor lounge. Like, this is the first year I've ever heard about it. So I guess that is something else too, is maybe advertise it a little bit better to the people that are working your convention. A famous cosplayer took a video of you at Midnight Mahjong. If you saw someone with a big red shiny box, that's like a toolbox, so it's me. I don't think I have seen a video like that on Twitter, but if you find it, you are free to send it to me on Discord. I think the problem with AX a lot of the time is just like the lack of communication and just like a huge amount of people that have to be there to work AX. Like, you know, it's a mix of Anime Expo's own workers, and then you also have the convention center people. And this has happened many times in the past already, where information just does not get relayed between the two very often. And working AX, I've never worked for Anime Expo, the company. I've only ever worked as an exhibitor at Anime Expo. But, you know, if you've ever attended or if you've ever seen like what Anime Expo looks like, it's very chaotic. So I don't, you know, I don't condone like people taking out their stress on strangers or being like kind of snippy and rude with them, but I think there has to be a level of understanding that they have probably interacted and dealt with like a lot of other frustrating things at the convention. So I like to try to give people a little grace, even though it is frustrating, and I empathize and understand, like, if you've had a hard interaction with staff when you're just trying to enjoy your convention. I have also ran into some unfortunately troubled staff. But if you're nice, you know, usually people are willing to be a little bit nicer. Not saying that you weren't nice. I'm just saying, you know, if you're very stressed out and under a lot of duress, even people with good intentions, you may still come off a little, like, rigid. Spent $250 on Holo merch. Very nice. Anything special or particular Holo merch that you got? I did see a lot of booths that were doing collabs with HoloLive, so there were a lot of officially licensed stuff, which was very cool to see. You found an El Condor pasta standee that was holding flan. I hope you took a picture, because that was you. Surprisingly, 0. I was very lucky this year. I think it was, and this was something that, again, I don't want to give out too much information about the booth that I was working at, but the person who hired me had said specifically that they brought on a lot of people onto their staff, and they wanted a mixed gender 100%, because they found out in the past that when they had only feminine presenting people at the booth, it would attract a lot of weirdos, and when they only had male presenting people up the front, then like they wouldn't get any people coming to the booth at all, which is very sad. Like, it turned off a lot of people. And so by having both masculine and feminine presenting people kind of at the booth, different groups of people feel more comfortable approaching. You got all the crony merch, very nice. Yeah. I mean, I think it's unfortunate, but that it does make a lot of sense. So we always had at least like, I believe like 1 or 2 guys up at the front along with the girls, and then everybody else was like in the back, like doing the organization or storage work. Something that was also interesting for me personally is this, or I should say in the past when I've worked Anime Expo, I usually I'm used to wearing multiple hats in terms of roles, but this time around I worked for a much bigger booth than what I have previously worked at, with a lot more people, so there was more room for us to kind of pick and choose like what we wanted to do at the booth, whereas in the past, because I worked with a smaller group, we would all like kind of take turns doing a little bit of everything. So I feel like this time around I didn't work the register at all, which is not what I'm used to, but in exchange I did a lot of like work being on the floor, doing a lot of like customer service type interactions still, which is why my voice is shot. It's because I've had to talk so much the entire weekend. Yippee! Hello, Gone Puppy, welcome. Good to see you. They put me in the booth and see me flexing my muscles. I did joke like, oh, but the thing was like I joked about this, but I never worked the register. But I was like, oh, maybe I should. If I work the register, if they buy a certain amount of like merch, maybe I can flex for them as a bonus. And my coworkers laughed, but that never happened. And the booth that I worked for also had a uniform that we had to wear, so most of the time my arms were covered anyways. Hello Owen, welcome. Low-key was impressed with my personal output of social life, but holy fuck, I get so shy when I meet cute cosplayers and my stutter festers up, but they laugh and say it's cute, so I just blush and walk away. You gotta, I mean, you know, as long as you have a good cordial interaction with a cosplayer and you're very respectful of their boundaries, they will also be nice to you, so don't worry. I also, AX has always been my, any convention, I guess, but I guess just because I've attended Anime Expo for many, many years now, it always tends to be the one event that brings in a lot of people and friends that I've met from across the internet to one particular location. So I always end up doing a lot of socializing and being active around this time of year. And I think that's kind of has, I mean, among other things, swayed my opinion of like why I like the summer so much, is because I've always correlated it with like spending time with friends. It just gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling, and I love that the sun is out like all the time, and I just think of like all the bonding and stuff that I get to do during the summer. The lion doesn't concern himself with their stutter. They just like talking to 1010 baddies. Yeah, it was very nice. I got to meet well, yeah, so like I said, Anarchy was the cosplayer who came by my booth, who I like completely mind blanked, couldn't remember her name. But it was the day that she was cosplaying as the Dark Underworld Iron Mouse, like the goddess Iron Mouse. She looked really good. And so when I saw her, I was like, you're that VTuber. And she was like, that's good enough. And she was like, here's a sticker. I remember seeing her at Offkai last year too, but I was too shy to go up to her and say hi back then. But since I was basically stuck to my booth and she came around, I was like, oh, it's you. I know who you are. I also met, actually, I found out that a couple VTubers came by our booth, but of course, I would not have known that, had I not read, like, the comments on my, I guess we can call them my boss. X is cool. There was one more thing. Not too insane if you want to hear. I'm curious, but I'm also like, I don't want to get distracted. You can tell me on Discord though. I do want to know what happened. There was another VTuber I met who, they know me as another alias, which is why I did not want to say that I myself was at Anime Expo. But anyways, I went and met them finally in person for the first time, and they were very, very sweet, and I had like just wanted to tell them like, oh, I was just very proud of how far they had come in their streaming career, because we had been mutuals for a very long time, and they were so sweet. I will maybe one day say who that person is, but yeah, it was a very good interaction, and I had lightly mentioned that I was streaming, and they were like, oh, that's great, like, how do you like it and stuff. Yeah, so that was good. That was like one of my highlights. Wow, just a seagull. Thank you for the follow. Wait, yeah, that's a follow, right? Yes. Yeah, they were very kind. Again, like, I didn't anticipate that they knew that I was streaming, so after I had met them, I DM'd them separately to say like, oh, this is where I'm at. If you ever decide or have time to like look at my stuff. But they were also very busy during Anime Expo, so yeah, hopefully they at least saw the message. AX is so cool. It is fun if you are with the right people. It can be fun. You can experience hell together. Okay, let me see what you sent me, Flan. Wow, celebrate your friendship anniversary. Thanks, Discord. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's pretty funny. You know what? I've always been curious, like, how do... Maybe it's like a vibe check thing to get invited to something like that. That's not too crazy. You can say it in chat if you want. You can update the people. You went in 2023 and I did almost no talking? How? Gone, puppy. Dweemy, hello. Hello, Dweemy. How are you? I'm sorry I sound like all raspy. This was exactly why I had to record like before I left for my trip, because I knew this was gonna happen, and I was like, oh god, I don't think I would be able to record after I come back. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I won't say what it was for, but you guys, I recorded something before I left for Anime Expo. Oh, well, let me allow that. Yeah, so I was very busy. I don't know if you guys remember. Prior to my work trip, quote unquote, I was working on a lot of things. One of them was like an art commission for my friend, and then the other thing was I needed to record some stuff for something special. Something special. Woo! But the deadline for the recording thing was gonna be after I returned from my trip, and I knew 100% I was either going to lose my voice or I was going to be sick, one of the two. So I had to record. I did the recording in like a day. Like I set aside like all my free time in that day just to record, and I got it done. So yay, it's done. Yeah, that was. I have something else I have to record still, but there's no like hard deadline on that one. So that one I knew like, oh, I can give myself some time to get my voice back before I try recording again. Okay, yes, so Flan. I met a girl at AX who invited me to an orgy. I did not go at all. I found out she was a big VTuber, so like low-key I kind of fumbled, but at the same time, why are you telling me this kind of thing? I told my uncle about it, and he was asking for the invite. Hello? Yeah, it's always funny, like, AX has, obviously it attracts all kinds of people, and especially as it's grown bigger over the years, so you get the party people, and you get the like, the more, introverted people, so, I am of the introverted side. That's how they get your kidneys. Yeah, Flan, you made it safe. You could have lost your kidneys, bro. Hello to Kitty. Hello, hello. I hope you're feeling good. But yeah, I was saying I have a friend from, or I should say I have a coworker from my other job. And yeah, so not my coworkers from the booth that I worked at this year, but my coworker from like my real job. They also usually attend Anime Expo, and the first year I think they came to see me while I was working, they were like, oh, if you have some free time, you know, or if you want, like, do you want to come with me and like my friends? We're gonna go to this like party, and like after the hall closes and blah 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 blah. And I was like, very politely, I appreciate you inviting me, but I'm gonna have to decline. I am not a party person. I also know someone that does work as a like, how should I say this? I guess they also work for a lot of those after party type things. I know there's a lot of different groups and organizations that will make their own like raves or parties and things like that. I know someone who works with one of those, and they had also invited me to attend one of the things that they were working at, and I think it'd be maybe a different experience being in a rave, a rave with like other nerds. Like maybe it'd be different than just like a regular rave. So maybe I should still try to go one of these days, but they didn't come by this year as far as I know. So I guess I might have missed that opportunity. You want to see photos of cool stuff I saw? Also, I saw the security not care. What the? Yeah, I will say, I think, so last year, not last year, the year, there was maybe like 2 years ago, there was a year that I worked for, at AX as an exhibitor, and I remember, again, with those communication troubles between AX staff and, excuse me, and the convention staff. Convention staff basically were like not allowing exhibitors or artists to bring in food or drinks into the convention center, even though they were all working there. and they were just basically stopping people at the bag check and like telling them you have to either eat this food now or we take it, like you have to throw it away, which was really crazy. That only happened on one day, and then there was so much outrage, obviously, that, you know, the issue was fixed, and the next day people were able to bring in their food. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like, you're gonna don't do that. Like, why would you not let your exhibitors eat or bring in food? They're gonna be stuck at the booth all day. But anyways, that's besides the point. So this year, you know, I felt like I had a pretty easy time dealing with security. Like, I don't think I was ever stopped once for like a bag check. I would scan my badge, walk through the metal detector, and then that was it. Even though I was carrying like a pretty big canvas bag full of all my stuff. A lot of venues are like that, unfortunately. It's not usually up to the con. Yeah, that's what I figured. No, eat, don't starve, and make that bread. You're stuck in bed with your cast in the moment. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you recover quickly and it goes smoothly. But did you feel okay after your surgery? Has it been okay this far? You went to one rave after your local con, and I was so out of place I left after 20 minutes. See, that's why I like... That's exactly what I'm worried about. I have attended once in my life a normie party, and I've told this story like 100 times, but it was a party with like... I mean, I know anime and video games and stuff are like not too out of the blue in terms of like hobbies these days. Like, it's a little more normalized, but I had attended a party with like mostly normal people, and the whole time that I was there I just kept thinking like, what do normal people even do? Like, they just drink and they talk about their relationships, or they try to get into relationships, and they talk about sport, and they thought because I was terminally online that everything that came out of my mouth, I was like the funniest person in the room. They bag checked your box, and then they said, what in the box? And I was like, this is my IRL inventory box. Same thing we do on collabs with IRL. Yap about our nonsense. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. Oh yeah, they also talk about work a lot. You're covering well. Good. The pain has dulled a lot. Oh good. I'm glad it went well. Wish it was easier for me to go to AX. Oog! Me too. Yeah, Dreamy, I had plans. Or I told Mr. Casper Catacini, I know he went undercover at AX. And I had messaged him being like, I'm at this booth if you want to say hi. And then he was like, hey, I'm gonna try to pop in today. And I was like, okay, cool. And then he did not show up. He was so busy. I felt really bad. I mean, not because I didn't feel bad because he didn't show up. I felt bad that he was so busy. Poor guy. But at the same time, I also very busy, so. Show them the photo he sent? Okay, let me see. What's this photo? Oh, your inventory box? Rate the inventory box. Oh. Okay, hold on. I need to save this. Save image. Oh. Yeah, to the desktop. Save. I hope it's not too big, because OBS really did not like that for anyone who missed one of my Tomodachi live streams, I was trying to pull up a reference of Dreamy to make a me based off of her, and it was so big that it crashed OBS like 3 times. Okay, let's see. Where do I put my... I guess I'll just do new image. Image. Hey, sure. Okay. Browse onto the desktop. We are going to judge Flan's inventory for AX. Oh, it's huge. Okay. I'm scared. Mom, I'm scared. Okay, thank God. Maybe it's because I don't have like other things running that this is able to scale down a little bit better. Okay, let's rate Flun's inventory for AX. Bring it down a little bit more. This was in your shiny red metal box that security stopped you for. Okay, let me move myself over a little bit. Whoop. Oh, okay, there we go. So I see Miss Hatsune Miku. Yeah, don't crash OBS, I know. I see, wait, I'm gonna also open it, like, on my desktop so I can zoom in. Yes, Miss Hatsune Miku, our queen. I saw a lot of cool Hatsune Miku cosplays this year. Where did the image go? Oh, there it is. Okay. And... well, I guess, wait, should I be resizing the image for you guys too so we can zoom in on different parts, or is it better to just have the static image? I don't know how small it is on screen for you guys, but yeah, yes, Miss Hatsune Miku, I see an Uma. We got an Uma Musume in there. You've got your 4-day pass. Is that a Hello Kitty pineapple shot glass? A very glittery shot glass? 78 streams incoming today. Yeah, from the OBS crash. You're concerned about the sriracha until I saw the lunchbox. I thought they were just taking hits of hot sauce. Maybe. You know, a little Tabasco sauce to wake you up when it's busy during the con, and a lunchbox. All the Anime Expo essentials right here. You don't need anything else. One more thing, your ex went, she was cosplaying as Gold Chip at the big Gold Chip meetup. She kept staring at my soul. But, oh no, that's always rough. I don't think I've ever... I'm trying to think. Yeah, I haven't. I feel like in most of my past relationships, once the relationship ends, we kind of like steer clear of each other. So I've never had any awkward interactions, I think, of, yeah, crossing paths with an ex. But very good. Thank you for sharing. Just clear that. Yeah. I don't have a picture, unfortunately, but in my bag, I had a big canvas bag. Oh! Would I dox myself if I described my bag in detail? I guess not. So, I had a big canvas bag that I got from Emerald City Comic Con. I went this year. And the canvas bag is from this webcomic that I read called Barbarous by Yuko Oda and Ananth. And the canvas bag is like, it's a very nice canvas bag. It has a nice print on it. It's like blue and pink design on the front of like the characters in their like apartment, because it takes place in an apartment complex. And it has a zipper, which is really nice. None of the canvas bags that I've ever owned in the past have had a zipper to close up the bag, and it's a big, sizable canvas bag. So I was like, oh, this will be perfect for AX, so I can just carry all my things in there without having to have multiple bags. So I brought that bag with me, and inside my bag, I keep like smaller bags of other things, so that way I don't have a bunch of loose items inside. So I have my usual, like, I have a smaller bag with like a turtle on it, and I usually keep like things like Tylenol or is it Advil? It's some kind of medication for if I start not feeling good. I have Lactaid. I carry Lactaid with me. I carry like a charger wire from my phone and a charger like plug in case there's an outlet. It also has like Sharpies and pens in there in case I want to draw. I usually carry like a small sketchbook to draw in when I have the time to draw, which I did not. I think I had like I did one single drawing in my sketchbook from AX of my coworker when we were in the lounge. I also carried a bag with masks if anybody wanted spare masks. I have like hand sanitizer. I carried my water bottle in there. Just everything just was kind of in there. My jacket. No, Lactaid. I did not lactate. What the? Not at AX, bro. But though, can you imagine? It'll happen at some con, if not AX. There's gonna be someone breast milk at convention center. They already got the feet juice. You can't tell me that breast milk is out of the equation. It's going to happen. I would hope not. We're taking ParkCon to the next level. You heard it here first. Who wants to be the brave soul to donate? I want, though, because the idea is coming from me, fresh from this stream, I want at least like 5%. New gamer subs flavor. Doesn't that already kind of exist? If it's not like breast milk, it's like something else. Gamer sweat or something. They have some crazy flavors. Anyways, my bag. Why was I? Oh, I was bringing up my bag because before the convention started, so that's the other thing. This booth that I worked at was much bigger than any other booth that I worked at in the past, and so doing setup required 2 days rather than the 1 day that I'm usually used to. In the past, I would go on they call it day 0, and day 0 is before the con actually opens for exhibitors to kind of set up their booths for, you know, the eventual opening of day 1. But this time around, I learned that there's actually also a day -1. So I had to go to day -1, and then I did day 0 as well. So, you know, aside from the actual convention itself, I had to do setup and teardown, which is on the last day of Anime Expo, where you then have to destroy everything that you built up prior in the week. we donating breast milk or donating for breast milk? I heard those words and I'm confused. I guess both, if you want. Chad, who wants to go 50-50 on this business venture? Someone be the cow, I can be the milkman. It just sounds exhausting for exhibitors and attendees, not gonna lie. Yeah, it's a lot. As I was saying, I feel very emotionally fulfilled. I made a lot of new friends this year with my coworkers because these were all people that I had not previously met before. And we all got along really well. So I feel like I've made some new like convention friends, which is really nice, and just friends in general. But yeah, we were all very physically tired. Like if you had come by our booth and just like you saw people kind of looking like dazed or like having the 1,000-yard stare, that is unfortunately like what comes with working AX. Because, you know, there are people, especially with a con as big as Anime Expo, again, you get all types of people, and you're bound to run into, just like any customer service, people who just don't know standard etiquette for dealing with like people's booths. I can't tell you how many times it would just be like, we would have clear signs that say do not take the display off of the shelves that we had, because, you know, it's out there for people to see, and then we had a catalog so that way people could choose what they wanted, which a lot of other booths also do, to make the shopping process a little bit easier. And still, there would be people like grabbing and like trying to pull stuff off the shelves, even though everything's like tied down, and then they're just ruining the entire display, and then I have to go over and fix the display. And then, yeah, again, it's, despite how frustrating it was with some interactions, like, I also had mentioned there was some very stinky people. There were also some nice smelling people. There were some people who took their hygiene very seriously, and, like, I would get, like, a waft of something nice, and I'd be like, wow, amazing. To think that this is so difficult for other people. This wasn't at the convention itself, but like I had gone out to eat with my coworkers from the booth, and we went into one store, like a hobby store basically, and there were some guys coming out and a couple coming in. As they pass each other, I see the girl like full on hand in front of mouth and nose, and I was like, oh no, this poor woman. I did have some very good interactions. I had one, it was a mother and a daughter who came by our booth, and the daughter was very shy. She was speaking very quietly, and the mom was kind of doing like most of the talking, you know? And when I was helping them out, I was like, oh, how's your anime expo been so far? And they were like, oh, it's been good. Like, this is our first anime expo ever. And I was like, oh my god, your first anime expo? That's crazy. What did you do? And the daughter was like very happy to like talk about like the things that she did so far. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's very cool. I hope you're having a fun time. And the mom was just very sweet. They were both very nice. It was a very positive interaction. Yeah. I think, again, also just because anime has grown so large, you get a lot of different people who just don't know how to act at a con. Like, I don't know. I should hope that they don't also do this like at regular stores, but I'm going to just make the assumption that they probably do if they're already acting this way at a booth. Yeah, just yeah, I don't want to bring the stream down too much, you know? Obviously, there's always going to be some kind of trouble, some bad apples, but a lot of good apples. Yeah, you have to be a little bit more mindful, for sure. Trying to think. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we cannot not discuss the belle of the ball of Anime Expo, I believe, because they were making so much traction on social media, and whoever works for this company is like a marketing genius, but it works. Okay, and if you haven't seen it on your feed, as soon as you see one video, that's like your entire social media feed will be changed to just show you this content. But Love in Deep Space, you know, if you're not familiar with Love in Deep Space, this is not sponsored, by the way. Love in Deep Space is a mobile game where you can kind of, I mean, okay, I'm not entirely too clear on like what the game entails because I have not played it for myself, but I have grown increasingly interested in this game. But basically, hot guys, anime men, there's a lot of like scenes that you try to gotcha for and they get kind of like saucy. Anyways, the Love in Deep Space booth at Anime Expo was basically just like they had one side where they were doing cosplayer meet and greets, where they had paid cosplayers from China dressed as the characters from their game, and unless you were a specific level and you won the raffle to interact with them, these players would go and interact with the cosplayers, and then you would get like a minute of just like having a sort of IRL fantasy type situation with the cosplayer. And then the other side of the booth is like, oh, you could pick up your freebies if you were, again, a player of a certain level, or just buy merchandise. But yeah, the very first day that they had these like cosplayer meet and greets, there were so many videos going around on social media because everybody was like, oh my god, is this allowed? Are we allowed to watch this? I feel like I'm intruding on something. It feels very intimate. And I guess depending on which character you were meeting up with, and what kind of like costume they were wearing for that day, the interaction, or I guess maybe also just like the character personality in general, the interactions ranged from like very cute and wholesome to like, whoa. And of course, the ones that got the most attention were the like, whoa, the spicy interactions that were going around on social media. But because all those videos were like getting spread around, each like consecutive day of Anime Expo, more and more people would show up at the booth because they wanted to watch and see, like, they wanted to see the cosplayers. Thought it was very funny, but they are so wise. Let's go to cons in our mid-30s together. So true. But yeah, the other funny thing too is that while all of this is happening at Anime Expo, there was a lot of like drama happening with the Love and Deep Space community regarding this new character that was supposed to be introduced to the game and then was not brought into the game. Yeah, so all that happened before they started doing the like cosplay meetups, which is really funny. Like that the timing worked out that way. And so outside of the convention, or like I guess during the convention too, a lot of the Love and Deep Space players were like mourning for the character that just never got to debut, because they assumed that had the new character, like if he was supposed to be introduced in game, he should have had a cosplayer like playing him as well at the booth. But there was just a sad like empty space of where his little box should have been, and they only had the original like guys, the original cast of guys or love interests. So there were a lot of funny posts regarding that as well. But I do hope that at least, you know, whichever cosplayer they had hired to be the character that just never got to debut, I hope they still paid him for his time, because it seems very unfortunate. And yeah, so I had a coworker from my booth who I was discussing all this Love and Deep Space with like all weekend. And then I also had my cousin, who also was, I learned just very recently, had been playing Love and Deep Space as well. And so they both have been like trying to get me more interested in the game, and it's working. The propaganda is working. I mean, this interest has slowly been growing over time anyways. Like, I have seen a lot of other people who are within the fandom who really like it. And I like seeing all the, like, creative stuff that they've done. Like, a bigger name, I guess, is, like, if you guys are familiar with Emily Chu from YouTube. She does a lot of, or she had been doing a lot of videos where she and her friends would do, like, a birthday oshikatsu thing. For the Love and Deep Space boys, like themed birthday things for the fictional boys, which is very cute and fun. Just a fun like little themed outing, an excuse to like meet up with your friends and talk about like this thing that you both or you all enjoy. And so yeah, that was drawing my interest in. I know someone else who has been doing a lot of comics of their like OC with the Love and Deep Space love interest, and that's really cool. So I've been growing more and more interested over time. Your friend has been going crazy for this. He actually showed me Love and Deep Space. No way, based. Good for him. You haven't watched her in years, so she's got a lot of good videos. I've been watching a lot of her content, both on her main channel and also on Spilled Ink. She does Spilled Ink with Didus, another like YouTuber, and they do a lot of art content, which is very enjoyable, very fun to watch. I've learned a lot of things about like she went to she went to like a couple art expos in Japan, and I'm like, oh wow, adding those to my list of things that I want to do in Japan. Yeah, it's fun. I also like their drawing challenge videos when they try different things. You know about them tangentially through Sea Dog. Yes. I think he's appeared in at least one video of theirs on Spilled Ink. Yeah, both very talented artists. There was one year I could have gone to meet them because they were like right next to this booth of someone else I was trying to meet. Not at Anime Expo, at like a completely different convention. But I don't think I ever saw them. I wasn't around when they happened to be at their table, or they just had like a long line of people that they were meeting, so I just didn't want to bother them. But they seem very chill. Isn't Didus her partner? Yes, I do believe they are together as a couple. But yeah, the Love and Deep Space booth, you know, I don't know how they're going to navigate. Like, are they still planning on adding the new guy anyways into the game? Because it seems like the information that keeps coming out is like going back and forth of like, oh, bring him back. He wasn't supposed to be taken away. I guess only time will tell, because I don't know like how much stuff they would have to like redact or like redo. From what I've heard, they've totally pulled him out and they're only focusing on the main characters. RIP. RIP. What we could have had. Okay, that makes more sense why a lot of people have been posting about like, oh, I will adopt him. If the if China doesn't want him, the Americans will take him, or the Filipinos will take him. He will be a new nationality. Oh. I mean, again, I don't know too much about Love and Deep Space or like what he was supposed to bring to the table, but you know, maybe there will be a successor, like a new guy who will take his place. But then I'm sure there's gonna be, if they do something like that, there's gonna be a lot of people in the fandom that are gonna be like, oh, AU, where he's like the reincarnated version of the guy that was supposed to originally be in there. I'm calling it now. But going back to my experience as a like exhibitor at Anime Expo, so I already said I had to work day -1 plus day 0 to set up, which I had never done before. And then I did obviously a lot of walking, standing on my feet throughout the entire convention. So and as you can tell, my voice right now is like very dead. But yeah, there were plenty of days where, because you set up the 2 days or however many days you have to set up, and then day 1 the halls open at like 8 a.m. or 8:30, and then you have to be show ready like an hour beforehand, at least. They need you to come in at like, well, we had to wake up around like 6 or 6:30 and then show up and set up to be ready by 7. So there were like there was 2 days where I slept for maybe 5-ish hours, which is very bad. Don't do that. But my body is also like, I would set an alarm to wake me up so that way I sleep a specific time, but because I have all this adrenaline of like needing to be awake and at a place at a certain time, my body will just naturally wake me up. So for the first 2 days I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I almost had planned on asking one of my friends if I could just like crash at their hotel room, because I had a friend who was attending who had a hotel, and I was like, bro, can I like go sleep in your room for like 2 hours or something? I'm dying. And then I ultimately decided that I was just gonna push through it anyways, and I managed to survive the day just fine. But as soon as I made it back to where I was staying, I just like passed out. I was dead. And there were several times where myself and my coworkers, you know, after the con ended, we would go out to eat, and then like, you know, we would all eat, and as people are like just talking or just like kind of finishing up their meals, there would be several people I'd look over and people are just like eyes closed, like head tilted back, just like dead. It sounds so fun. It sounds less fun. Yeah. It's funny because I feel like I have to put in more physical labor doing Anime Expo, surprisingly. And I always worry like, oh, my diet is just like off the rails because I'm at a convention and I'm not at home, so I would just have to eat whatever I can manage to eat. I almost feel like, I can't remember exactly, but I think one of the times that I did AX, I'm pretty sure I had lost weight because I just wasn't eating as much as I should have, even if I was eating like things that are normally things that I don't usually get to eat. I still tried to make sure that I got enough food. This time around I packed a lot of food from home. My coworkers and I went shopping once during the week to grab stuff for everybody because we were all sharing a space together. And everybody was very nice. Again, it was like, you're in hell, but you're in hell with like, well, hopefully you're in hell with like good people, because a lot of us, we all tried to contribute or help out where we could. Like, we had received a schedule for like when we should be working on shift, so just to give everybody a chance to kind of have a break or like walk around if they wanted to walk around. But there were several days where I think a lot of us were like technically not scheduled to work, but we still were at the booth because we saw that it was busy or that people needed a little extra help, or we didn't really need anything else, or wanted to do anything else at the con, so we just kind of spent extra time at the booth. And like, on the setup days, I had brought some coffee and food because I knew that we would be busy like the entire time just trying to set up. Some of my other coworkers also brought us food, or we all bought each other food at some point to kind of help, because everybody was just like dead and tired. And you know, the parking situation at AX is also very dire. It's expensive for one, and then two, during the days of the convention, it's so hard to get parking, and we obviously as exhibitors have to be there early in the morning, but even early in the morning we're still fighting with attendees for parking. There's no like designated parking for exhibitors and artists, which I understand is not something that Anime Expo can feasibly do, because it's probably like something that has to be handled by the convention center. But it would be nice, I'm just saying, because I really do not like having to go and fight other people for parking and having to wake up extra early just to ensure that I can get parking. Otherwise I have to pay like upwards of like $50 to get parking space, even though I'm working at the convention. Or, you know, having to pay for like an Uber or a Lyft to get to the convention. It's just like, why? But yeah, everybody worked hard and everybody did their best to support each other. And so when it was finally all said and done and over, like that was something else too. We during the last day of the takedown, when we finally were able to, it hit 75 for parking. That's wild. That should not happen. That should not be allowed. 75, that's way too much. Yeah, I think the most that we paid was like about 50, because we left early enough that we were still able to get like nearby parking, but even then the parking lots that we needed to be at were still filling up very, very quickly. Because otherwise, you know, it's kind of sad to say, but at the convention center, their parking was $35 during the convention, and it was like $30. See, I still had to pay for parking even during the day -1 and day 0, like just for convention parking, period. So it ranged between $30 to $35, and then if those lots filled up, they redirected you to another parking structure, and that one was like $50. He took the train. Giga smart. Yeah, one of our coworkers also took the train. Because they were local, they were able to help out with transportation, which was very nice. But yeah, I wish, you know, you would think Anime Expo, with all the money and power that they have, you know, they blocked off the entire street, and I don't know if that was like solely for the purpose of putting the food trucks out there, or if they just did it because there's so many people, like foot traffic now, that they have to kind of block off a certain area so that way people can safely like walk the area. Or if it was just the construction happening at the convention center, because the LA Convention Center, or LA in general, is trying to prepare for the Olympics in 2 years, I think, in 2028. So they're doing a lot of construction at the con. So that was, from what I understand, that is why some of the layout for AX this year was a little bit weird in comparison to other years. But, you know, if they have the power to be able to block off an entire street, I don't understand why they can't also, like, set aside parking space for the exhibitors somewhere. Because they also, I mean, I don't know if my boss had to pay extra for their, like, hotel stay, but I think they must have. But I think Anime Expo had like a specific like kind of a reservation thing for exhibitors if they wanted to stay at the like nearest hotels to the convention center. But obviously that was restricted for like my boss. And then the rest of us had to stay elsewhere, and then commute from where we were staying to the convention center. We couldn't just walk, unfortunately. But yeah, I did see that they were trying to push for a lot of people to take the trains, which is, yeah, very smart. Honestly, if I was going as just an attendee, again, I would probably try to find as many other solutions as possible so I wouldn't have to rely on cars or park. Yeah, then that would save a lot of money on parking too. I searched up Didus and the video Emily ditched the boys and Didus for her love in Deep Space BF. Yeah, that's Emily's partner Didus and her boyfriend. I think she's a Caleb stan. I think she has said in videos that Caleb is her favorite. I have not obviously played Love in Deep Space yet, but I don't know who my favorite would be. I don't know very much about each boy to really make like a solidified like guess. I only know surface level details, but I feel like the obvious one that people would assume that I would like is Raphael. He's the purple hair one. But I don't know. I don't know his story. I don't know anything about him besides the little details that I do know. So we will find out. Oh, actually, speaking of Love in Deep Space too, which I thought was very funny. So Love in Deep Space was giving out freebies for their players. So you had to be a certain level in the game, and then you had to have the game running on your phone when you arrived at the booth. Oh, you also had to reserve when you were gonna come pick up your freebie to try to like do crowd control. So they had a lot of barriers set up in place so that way like scalpers couldn't just come and like get the freebie and try to resell on eBay or whatever. But so my cousin had reserved her time slot to go pick up the game. She initially was trying to get me to go get it for her, and she was gonna give me like a second phone with the game on it already, so I wouldn't have to download it onto my phone. But in the end, she ended up coming herself. So we went to the Love in Deep Space booth for her to pick up her freebie, and I was in line with her. And then after she was showing one of the Love in Deep Space staff like her phone to show that she was the required level and that she had the game and she wasn't just like some rando, they asked me if I was also picking something up, to which I said no, I'm just waiting in line with her. And they were like, oh, if you could please wait at the exit just to make the line move a little bit smoother, that'd be really great. And I said, okay, yeah, no problem. So I moved to the exit to wait for my cousin, and as I'm standing there, there's like a group of other players of Love in Deep Space like just kind of huddled around the exit of the booth because they're trying to see if there's anybody else who pulls, like, I'm assuming they want to get a specific like bag, because each freebie bag has one of the boys on it. And so like if you didn't get your favorite, understandably you want to try to trade with somebody else who has your favorite. And I was standing there, and the first thing that I hear when I get to the exit of the booth, there was another girl walking out with her bag, and somebody that was standing in the crowd was like, I will pay you cash right now for that bag. I will pay you right now, girl. I will trade you. Please trade with me. So there, I was like, oh my god. She really wanted whatever character that was. I didn't turn to look, but I just thought that was funny. And those bags, those freebies, they sell for at least like, I think my cousin was telling me they're already being resold online for at least $100, and the value only increases over time. So like the freebies from the previous Love in Deep Space, or the previous Anime Expo years, they're up to like almost $500 right now, which is wild. And my cousin, very, very lucky for her, she got the boy that she wanted on her freebie. She was so happy. But yeah, the entire time while we were waiting for her, because again, you have to reserve a time to pick up your freebie. So while we were waiting, we were trying to get into the Love in Deep Space booth. Like during the cosplay meetup, they have the like middle section where you get in line if you have the reservation to meet the cosplayers, and then they have two audience sections. Like they specifically spaced out audience sections at their booth so you could wait in line to get into the audience section just to watch the cosplayers if you were not meeting them yourself. And so while we were waiting for her pickup time to arrive, we were like kind of just walking around and circling the booth trying to wait and get into like an audience section to watch for a little bit, because there were a lot of people who, if they weren't able to get inside the audience section, they would start like, you know, obviously just standing kind of in front of the booth, but then causing a lot of traffic in the halls. And so there were a lot of extra AX staff and the booth staff kind of yelling at people to like keep walking because they can't just be standing there and causing blockages in the walkway. And the nice thing too, though, with that audience section is that they would swap them out every now and then. So like if you had a chance to be in the section, you'd probably get like a good, I don't know, 10-15 minutes in the section, and then they would rotate them out and be like, okay, now you guys get out, and the people that are waiting to or want to watch can now come in. And every single time they had to tell people, please, I'm going to open the audience section, please do not rush or push in, because there are people who are trying to get into a good spot in the audience section to get their little videos. And actually I noticed there's some videos out there of like the cosplayers not like personally coming up to interact with the audience, but they would like make eye contact with them and see that they were recording. They would do like little heart hand signs, or, you know, do something cute for the camera for those people. And I'm sure a lot of those Love and Deep Space girlies who didn't have a chance to meet their boys just want to get like a little crumb, a little interaction from their favorites, and also being able to share it with all the other Love and Deep Space girlies who weren't able to go to Anime Expo. But anyways, I feel like a lot of other booths should take note of Love and Deep Space's procedures or their methods, because I think they were very smart and it very clearly worked. They were getting so much like attention spread just through like social media. As for, let me see, as for food that I ate, oh, why is my, uh-oh, okay, my model is stuck. What happened? Let me see, let me try to do this real quick. Hold on. There we go. I don't know what happened. We got got frozen there for a second. What else happened during AX that I can make note of? Something I thought was kind of funny, but also kind of sad for my coworker. During day -1 and day 0, when we had to set up, initially, during those days where you're setting up, there's no, like, registration. Obviously, you just kind of like show up and you have to like kind of navigate. They had security passing out like these bracelets for like just so that they knew like people are there to be working, like they're meant to be there. And out of my group on day -1, I was the first one to arrive to the convention center, and so I parked where I needed to park. And then I was trying to navigate and make my way into the convention center. And of course there's like security posted up everywhere. But I guess because I just kind of looked like I was meant to be there, like I looked confident enough, I was just kind of like, hey, I'm trying to get to West Hall. Can I go in? Like, do I need to do anything? And they were like, oh no, you can just walk through like the security thing, and someone will let you in. Just go and get like a bracelet. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thank you. So I go in. Security guard that I met with gave me the bracelet, and they were like, oh, so you're an exhibitor here? And I was like, yeah, I'm working for blah blah blah. And they were like, okay, cool. And they just gave me the bracelet and I was able to walk in. Meanwhile, my poor coworker had to do like, again, because I guess we didn't realize about the construction happening at the con, they had to walk like all the way around the convention center to get in, for one. And then once they got to where they thought they needed to be, or like were trying to get inside, the security was like really heckling him, just asking all, like interrogating him every sort of question, like, yeah, what booth do you work for? Like how, like, I don't know, somebody else has to come get you and things like that. Like he couldn't just like give him the bracelet and let him in. he needed someone from the inside to come get him. And meanwhile, like, I'm like, is this West Hall? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, thanks. I walk through. So, I don't know. I don't know, again, you know, there's a lot of people, and obviously they have a lot of security and a lot of convention staff, and they have the Anime Expo staff, and I don't know how communication works across all these parties, or what they were told, but, you know, at least they didn't just deny people coming in with their food. Oh, they also had made it so that way there were specific entrances for people to walk through. So attendees had a certain entrance, like during the convention, that they were able to go to, and then if you were an artist or an exhibitor, you had a different entrance that you could go into as like a priority entrance. But for some reason, there was a day where one of my coworkers left the booth to get something. Like, she walked out of the convention center, was trying to come back in, and she was in line with all the attendees trying to go through like the attendee entrance with them, and the security guard told her, you have to go to a different entrance. And she was like, but why can't I just go through this one? I'm an exhibitor. Like, I'm already here. Why are you making me walk back to another entrance to get in? It was very bizarre. Or I also at one point left the convention center for something, was trying to get back in. I asked the security guard, because I wasn't too sure where I was at the time, where I was like, oh, I'm trying to get back in, I'm an exhibitor. Is there, like, can I just cut, like, in front of all these people? Or do you know where the nearest, like, exhibitor entrance is? And he was like, nope, you have to wait in line with all these people. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just meshed myself into the crowd and got in eventually. And it's weird, they implemented this like system a couple years ago where you have to scan your badge when you go in and scan your badge when you come out. But there was some areas where I noticed if you exited a certain way, like, they didn't have the scanners there, you would just walk out. But most of the entrances, like, going in you had to scan, but walking out there wasn't always a scanner, which I don't know, is it just like, does the scanning thing like reset after a certain hour, like after everything closes? Like, do they just assume that everybody's left? Because I know they're pretty consistent about like, oh, the hall is closed, and then they just kick everybody out, and they have to ask you to make sure that, like, oh, if you please have your badge visible if you're an exhibitor, so that we know that we don't need to ask you to leave. Line con strikes again. Yes, there were a lot of lines. I did see some people complaining on social media about like having to wait in very long lines, or being in line and having to wait to get in, but they are not able to get in because the convention center is just at max capacity. And I can't remember if AX has done this in the past, but this year they announced like, oh, we're not selling any at convention badges. So they had actually capped it that year, but I know in previous years they used to allow you to still buy badges. This year they said, no, you cannot buy the badge at the convention unless you already, you would have had to already like register beforehand. They really need to stop overselling. Yeah. I don't even know, like, is it just like a greed thing? Like, they're just really trying to push how many people they can let in? Yeah, I figured. I did notice too, it was something that was pointed out to me by someone in the South Hall. So South Hall is kind of like the main convention floor where all the like big companies generally are. So like Blue Archive and Crunchyroll and any of the like, yeah, anime distributors like Aniplex or like Kinokuniya, like the big bookseller. So all of those booths are generally, in previous years, you would have the big companies up at the front, and they would take up maybe half of the main convention floor. And then the other half was generally like smaller exhibitor booths where they weren't like huge companies, but they were like smaller businesses, which is where when I helped work exhibitor in the past, I was usually like within the main South Hall. But this year, the main hall was just overtaken by all the big companies. Like the entire thing was just like filled with like gigantic booths. There was no smaller booths. The smaller exhibitor booths that I remember seeing were moved to where Artist Alley is this year. And so there were a lot of people complaining, rightfully so, because they had to chop Artist Alley in half from what it used to be, because they had grown it out really, really big, and then suddenly they had to cut how many artists they could have in Artist Alley. So Artist Alley this year was much smaller, and then the other half of that like downstairs area was those smaller exhibitor booths that would have been behind the big company booths in the past. This time, no, they were forced to be in the same space as Artist Alley, which is kind of sad that they were all kind of forced to be down there. I just feel like that downstairs space in general is not very good because there's not a lot of ventilation. It gets very hot very easily. It smells. Yeah, it sucks to be down there. Oh, also the 18 plus Artist Alley was also down there, along with, I believe, the 18 plus companies. Like, they had a blocked off section that, from what I could see, you would, or from what I understand, you had to go to like an official Anime Expo like registration booth, and you would have to confirm that you were over 18 to be able to have access to the 18 plus area. So you would get like a little band. But then once you have the little band, you have to wait in line to get into the 18 plus area, which is blocked off by these really high black curtains, which I think it's a good idea to set aside an 18 plus space, because in previous years at Anime Expo, I was so used to just like walking down the Artist Alley and just seeing like post-it notes over, like taped over someone's print of like boobies, you know? Just out in the open when there are a lot of like under 18 people who go to AX. So I think it's nice to have an 18 plus area, but the problem is it was very small, or I guess small in general, like limited capacity. And so there was always a line that whenever I went down there, there was a line wrapping around the 18 plus area of people trying to get in. And I don't know how long these poor people are waiting to get in. And then for all the artists and vendors that are inside the 18 plus area, they probably are just like, you know, they're in this like little boxed cage. I don't know how good traffic is for them. I really don't think it was very good, obviously, if they're having a line of people trying to get in and like people just kind of spending their time in there. And, you know, because they're behind like the curtains, like nobody knows that they're there. And so they really have to rely on their own social media presence to let people know, like, hey, I'm at the 18 plus area at Artist Alley if you're trying to find me, because otherwise you would never know. Like, they're all hidden behind the curtain. Something else that I thought was interesting that I would not have noticed had this not been pointed out. I know someone who used to be in charge of the karaoke at Anime Expo. Like, Anime Expo in the past used to have a lot of like fan-run panels or like community-run panels. So the Anime Expo karaoke was one of them. But slowly over time, Anime Expo had been kind of closing that down and shifting their attention to more like officially run panels. So either panels done by companies or panels done by Anime Expo themselves, by people that they have on staff, like the Maid Cafe, for example, or like any of their concerts. It's like, I don't ever recall, I mean, maybe I just haven't looked at the panel guide in a really long time, but I remember in the past there used to be a lot of things like, you know, people would just have some random anime topic that they want to discuss, and they would make a PowerPoint, and then you could go into the room and watch said PowerPoint about, I don't know, like the cars in anime, like the way that vehicles are drawn, or I don't know, just things of that nature they don't really have at Anime Expo these days. It seems very more focused on, again, just very big companies, so less community based, and that seems to be why right now, at this current point in time for Anime Expo, there's a lot of people who are really wanting that community sense, and so they have to curate and make their own like meetups outside of the convention center, or like, you know, not within the convention center, to be able to do those kinds of things. Hello, AWAS. Hey, it says very industry based. Yeah, I saw you. I had no idea you went. I should have probably asked a lot of other people who were going, but I did see that you were streaming your experience as well. I hope you had fun. That was one of the main reasons I stopped going to anime cons. I think it's just that AX in particular has grown so quickly, and for anybody that has been going to Anime Expo for a very long time, it's kind of just sad to see like this convention that you've attended for many years grow into this big thing, and it doesn't feel the same anymore. But I will say that brings about like maybe a lot of opportunity for these smaller conventions to become more of those community-based spaces for people. Oh, so you were also working. Okay. I actually walked by. I had no idea you were in there, but every time I came by that area, it was always packed with people, so I understand. Yeah, like I didn't have the time to wait in line just to get in. Yeah. That's cool. Did you have any particular interesting experiences? I assume this is your first year working for Omona, yeah? Wait, did you... No, I didn't see you post it, but would have been... Okay, it was your first year working there. Very nice. I was gonna say, did you do an Eros meet and greet with your Eros merch? I would have dropped everything to be there. Well, so I'm curious, because Omona's booth is very, very big. I assume because those are like you're just in the back moving boxes and stuff. Yeah, I'm guessing you guys did not have to set up your booth in the same way that my booth did, because you had like the big walls. I think that's generally set up by the convention center and AX themselves. But I'm sure you still have to do like the organizing and stuff back there. I also learned this year from working at exhibitors, my boss was telling me, giving us a little insight to the cost of a lot of this, and I was just like, oh god, it's so expensive. And it's no wonder that the previous group that I worked with, they were kind of pushed out monetarily. Among the other reasons that they decided to quit, I just remember each year was getting like increasingly difficult for them. Yeah, I was just saying, I had, when I worked the booth that I was at this year, I did mostly on the floor customer service stuff, but I did have a day or two, no, just like one day. I had one day where I worked mostly in the back. And that was very interesting. It was, the day that I worked in the back was, it was at my boss's suggestion of like, oh, get everybody an opportunity to try a different role, and also like a break if they need to. And already by the second day, my voice was like this. So I was like, I'd be happy to just kind of sit in the back and dig through boxes and not have to talk to people. You love your artist alley, yeah. I think I had seen, because of the fact that Artist Alley was chopped in half, they ran their own, like a bunch of artists kind of gathered together and made their own separate Artist Alley in Little Tokyo, which I did not get to attend, obviously, because I was at Anime Expo working, but I knew at least one person who was working out there. I wanted to go, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the people that had went, they must have been artists that were local enough to be able to do that, because I don't think anybody from out of state or out of the country would have flown out just to do like a little artist alley that's not at the convention center. But I know they had, yeah, banded to just have their own artist alley at Little Tokyo, which is cool. I think it's great that they were able to do that, and I hope that people were still able to make a little bit of income, you know, or have that artist alley spirit outside of AX without the minus being like trapped in the basement and with like huge crowds. Yeah, I saw they also had like food vendors there as well, so it sounds like a good time. So next time if I go to AX, I should get a job for the full experience. I feel like AX as an attendee versus AX as an exhibitor are very different experiences, or AX as an artist as well. Like, if you want to know like the hierarchy of which you have privilege at AX, it's like you got AX staff and industry at the top, and then you have exhibitors, then beneath that is artists. They're kind of, exhibitors and artists are kind of like on the same level, but I kind of put exhibitors over the top, because if you are like part of the really big company, you obviously have a bigger, actually I'm not even sure, because maybe I think exhibitor badges are still for the people, even for like the big companies at the big booths. Industry is meant more for like if you are someone working in the anime industry, or like you're a voice actor or something like that. I think that's what those passes are usually reserved for. So yeah, it'd be industry at the top, exhibitors, and then artists, and then you have attendees at the bottom, unfortunately. I don't know if they have anything like this in LA, but in Toronto they have a shop in the city with wall display space where local artists set up kind of like an artist alley table, where they have all their merch on display and you get a link to their shop. There is, I know of one store that's like that in, oh actually there's two of them. There's at least two stores in Little Tokyo that are kind of like that. And I know someone who has their art and merch at one of these stores. It's, I think, I forget what the second store is called. I literally was just there the other day. But the other store, when I happened to be in that area, the store was closed for the day, but it's called Happy Bara Station. It's in the Little Tokyo Mall. I know they have a lot of artists, like local artist merch. And out in Seattle, I haven't visited this store yet, but I really want to. There's this artist, Pikarar. I know I think it's owned by them and maybe another artist. And they were actually at AX, but they have their own storefront in Seattle where they also sell a local artist merch and fountain pens and inks and stuff like that. Very cool. But yeah, I think especially with a convention as big as Anime Expo, having or like working at Anime Expo is kind of clutch, because you are there in a community, in a space that, you know, for something that I assume you enjoy if you decided to work at Anime Expo. You have kind of like a little home base. Like if you walk around and then you get tired, you just go back to the booth. And it's as simple as that, assuming like, you know, the booth itself is not like brimming full of people. And you literally cannot be in there. And then thirdly, you hopefully are getting paid if you're working at an exhibitor booth at Anime Expo. Like, because it's so crowded, you really only need just like very little downtime to walk around to see what you want and then just go back. I will say it obviously depends on the exhibitor that you work with. Some of them might be more chill and some of them might be more strict, but my boss was pretty was pretty lax about like, oh, if there was something that you wanted to go to, you could ask if you could, you know, mention that you wanted to go to a thing, and then it was just like so that way they could ensure that there was somebody else like at the booth to help like maintain the space while you are trying to go to said thing. So like I said, had I wanted to, if I had really wanted to go to a panel, I could have asked to take like a specific chunk of time off, if I didn't already have it on, like, or if I didn't already have it off on my schedule. But yeah, panels are just so difficult to get into. I didn't want to really like risk taking the time away from the booth to just like wait in line to get into the panel that I might not even get into, depending on how many people are trying to get into the panel, because it fills up. And yeah, you get paid. Yeah, it is fun chatting with people. You know, you miss helping at AA. I do wish, I mean, it seemed like this year the tables weren't as crowded, because I remember previously there were a couple years where I had worked Artist Alley and the tables were just literally like back to back. It was very, like, there was no space whatsoever. It looked like they had a little more space this time around. But I know they've changed also the rules regarding like how many helpers you can have for Artist Alley, and like who can be at the table at a time, which is unfortunate. But I think again it's just like another safety issue. Also, Artist Alley tables are just so expensive now. Everything is expensive. Again, my boss was telling me about how much the general cost of some of the things that they got for the booth was costing them, and I was just like, oh my god, it's like you really have to start off at a smaller size convention if you want to try building up into a like being able to have like a really big booth like this. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. And mostly very small local and medium-sized cons. Just me and the artists. Bigger shows I would probably die. Yeah. Booths are so expensive. I know. Bro, my boss was like, before AX, because they had, unfortunately they were running into a lot of issues and troubles up until AX. But they were looking at like some of the things that they wanted to rent, because a lot of times, because these conventions are only temporary, a lot of the assets, like as an example, I guess, like a counter space. If you wanted like to rent a counter space from the convention center, or like from a company that could give you a counter space at the con, it was like between $400 to $800 just for the weekend. It is very wild indeed. And then yeah, I found out also like, oh, if your booth had carpet, you pay per square foot of carpet, and like the booths range from being like, you know, huge to just like medium-sized exhibitor booths, and that adds up as well. Actually, like outside of AX, I have also helped at other conventions, or I can only name one other convention that I worked at outside of AX. But when I worked for this company, or I should say I volunteered to work for this company. This was like a long time ago, before I had more experience, I believe. Or did they pay me? I can't remember. It was so long ago. Anyways, in either case, I helped out at this convention for this company, and one of the people who worked there was telling me like, you know, if we didn't have something to promote at this convention, like the only reason why they were there was because they had a project that they were releasing. It was a game. They had a game that was releasing, and it had a trailer that came out, and so they were at this convention to show off said game. And I was told if they had not had you know, the release of said game, they would not be at the convention at all. Like, they don't typically do any sort of convention appearances in general, just because it's just so expensive for them. It's not really worth their time. They can do marketing in other areas, and it'd probably be a lot more beneficial for the company. So it's interesting to see, like, that a lot of these other companies, they invest a lot. I can't even imagine, like, the so as an example of a booth that was there this year that was very complex, I didn't have a chance to actually walk in or around it, but I saw the Crunchyroll booth. They had like live dubbing booths that you could do. So it's basically like individual sound booths that you could walk in, and they had the microphones and they had the like monitors, and they had someone in there as an editor, like a live editor, to help you like dub an anime. And I don't know how many they had, but I can't imagine that was a cheap cost, because you have to pay for the electricity usage as well for the booth. I'm pretty sure their booth also had carpet. They had like huge lights and like a big display, a giant monitor or a big screen of like, you know, all the different animes that they have on Crunchyroll. A lot of walls as well. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess again, yeah, it's becoming very much more of like an industry trade show rather than a community thing that it used to be many, many years ago. But that is just the way things go, I suppose. You know, I'm very happy that anime has... I'm both happy and also a little sad. You know, I do miss like that feeling of having a hobby or like an interest that, you know, that didn't attract like such a wide range of people, because it felt like you could get very close with those people within that community. And now it's just like so big, but also like it's great that it grew as big as it did. I think a lot of anime and games deserve a lot more recognition. We need to gatekeep more. Stop watching anime. Stop playing gachas. I was here first. I put in the work. I've been in the trenches. Get out of here. Definitely prefer when it was more niche. Yeah, I feel like even now with like smaller conventions, you know, people see anime convention and they're like, anime, I know what that is, and then they go. Even if it at a smaller con. Anyways, unfortunately, because I don't want to totally dry out my voice any further, I still have to, you know, decompress and get ready, because I have to go back to work tomorrow. Not at Anime Expo, unfortunately. Or fortunately. But I am going to take a look here. Who is on Twitch? Who can we raid? Ooh, oh. Wait! Okay. We are going to... Wait, let me mute this because I know you can hear it. Thank you! We are going to raid a was. Are you actually playing Love and Deep Space? I was just talking about that too. Alright, y'all, we're gonna go hop into Aros's stream. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Bait and switch. That's okay. I haven't raided Aros in a hot minute. Let's go. Let's go. Oh my god, Sea Otter. We're gonna go say hi to Aros. Alright, thanks for joining, guys. Next stream for me is gonna be Thursday morning. We're gonna play a game demo, so it should be pretty chill. Hopefully I get my voice back a little bit more. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I would like that. Anyways, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.